It's time for a new episode of Sit Down with the Supt. In this episode, Dr. Christine Moloney reflects on the start of the school year and her goals for the year. Also, our new Interim Chief Academic Officer, more on the decision to bring Dr. Brian Fox on board, and the partnerships with our local law enforcement agencies and the ongoing work of improving student and staff safety.
Hello and welcome to Sit Down with the Supt. I'm Craig Birnbach. I work in the communications department here at Evergreen Public Schools, and I am the host for Sit Down with the Supt, the show where Superintendent Dr. Christine Moloney and other school leaders share information that impacts Evergreen Public Schools students, staff, and families. And with that, I want to welcome in Dr. Christine Moloney. Thank you so much for being here on your first full Sit Down with the Supt.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
All right, of course, we're about 3 weeks into the school year, so I'm going to ask you a little bit about what your experience has been so far. And while we do that, we're going to share some images from our schools, the back-to-school events, and that includes this one behind us. This is from York Elementary School. That is Principal Dawn Harris and some students. We had some very nice weather to start off the school year, which is great. But what's your experience been like in the first few weeks?
Oh, amazing and exciting. I've been out and about in schools, but the first day I got to ride a bus and I was so excited to do that. It was over at Supt Elementary. I got to ride that bus route, meet students and staff, and then from there I was able to go over to Heritage and then Covington and be there for the first day of school and help guide students, even though I didn't quite know where I was going. I was trying to figure out where the room numbers were and help students get to the right place for their first day of class.
And since that was first day, I know because every once in a while I check in on your calendar, see where you are, that you've been out and about at schools, as many as possible.
Yes, I have been out and about visiting schools, getting to know the administrators and the staff, introducing myself to food service workers and our custodians, whoever was out there. I was introducing myself, and most importantly, I was able to walk into classrooms and talk with students. I'm very, very excited. I even got a hug at one of the elementary schools. He came up and said, "Oh, Dr. Moloney," and I got a big hug. And I mean, what a great feeling for me for that. And I've been loving it. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, right before school started, one of the things you introduced to us as staff members was 5 things that you were requesting from us, and they were: assume positive intent, be kinder than necessary, create systems that serve, measure twice, cut once, and be culturally responsive leaders. Why, as a new leader here at Evergreen Public Schools, was it important for you to kind of have this as part of your kickoff?
It's important to me because that's who I am and who I strive to be. And when I work within an organization, it's really important for the organization to assume positive intent. Do we want to be successful? We want to help our students be successful. We want to make connections with each other and with our students and with our community. And in order to do that, these things really make sense to move us forward as a school district and to really help our students achieve and help them feel a sense of belonging. And so if we were kinder than necessary, and we are assuming that positive intent when people take action on certain things or say certain things. And if we're very conscious about what's happening in our system so that we have systems that serve us and serve our community, serve our parents, serve our students, rather than we just create a system and then we're just doing things to keep that system alive and responding to that system. So we want to make sure that we are, as a community and as a school community, providing the best service possible. And these are ways that we can do that. For our students and staff and kids. And the last piece there is be culturally responsive. That's really important to foster that sense of belonging, to create that welcoming, inclusive classroom and welcoming, inclusive schools. We want everyone in the Evergreen School District to feel that they belong, they're valued, and they're important to us.
I know, Dr. Moloney, you wanted to address a little bit about school safety and security. At the board meeting, at the last board meeting, you directly addressed the incident that happened outside of Mountain View High School now a couple of weeks ago. But there has been in our region, in our state, and in our country, other incidents, threats and such on social media. What did you want parents to know?
Well, I'm also a parent too, and so I understand. And I have a child in Evergreen Public Schools too, and in particular at Mountain View. is where my child attends. And it is incredibly important that I first start off by saying a huge thank you to the Vancouver Police Department and our partners for the fast response, the great communication, and the back and forth and the feedback, and then also the debriefs as well. They really helped bring that situation to a close very swiftly, and everyone was safe. And so that was really important. I want to make sure I say thank you for that. There are things in any type of situation like this, threats, etc., that not only is it scary, but it's also, as a parent or as a staff member, I want to be communicated with right away. And there are all sorts of things that play into whether or not a communication comes out at a certain time or not. And there are also a lot of other factors that play in to the decision to send a communication or to not send a communication. And those things come out in a debrief, like an after-action debrief or discussion and conversations with people who are directly involved. And by doing the review, I know I shared at the board meeting of what had occurred and what there are things that we could have done differently and things that we believe that we probably should have done differently. And I think that's really important that parents and staff in our community knows that this is not something that is brushed off and put aside like, oh, that's over with, we're done. This is something where we come back together and we go through and we put a plan in place to address things upon reflection about what happened so that we can be better if, unfortunately, we ever are in that situation again.
And on the bigger picture, I know I was with you at a meeting today. We've been having these meetings throughout the year with law enforcement and other districts. Today was your first one.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what you experienced and what the purpose of these meetings are?
Yeah, I walked into a meeting today, and you were actually there as well as representing communications for the Evergreen Public Schools, and met with other school districts, other communication executive directors, with the Vancouver Police Department representation there. Our Clark County Sheriff's Office was heavily represented there as well, and some other partners in the community and safety security from the different school districts. And it was really talking about how can we partner together, what are things that we can do to support each other and support and promote the safety and security of our students in our school communities. And it was so energizing and exciting to be part of those conversations. There's been a lot of work that's been happening behind the scenes, and they come together and they bring that together and say, hey, let's brainstorm. How can we do this differently? How can we be consistent? How can we make sure our communication protocols are working for us in situations and preparing ourselves in case there ever happens to be an emergency situation that requires that coordination of all our different partners to help provide the safety and the support that our community or students may need.
Right now, you're the interim superintendent. You made it clear that you want to be a candidate for the permanent superintendent.
That is correct.
But part of your job and your contract as the interim superintendent was to come with an entry plan that included some goals.
Yes.
What is that plan, and what do those goals consist of?
Well, funny you should ask.
She's prepared.
I'm prepared. Yes, I do have an entry plan, and there were 5 main goals for it, and a lot of different check boxes and activities and actions that I was going to take between now and January 2025. So I'm very, very happy to report a lot of those check boxes have been marked green, that I have completed them. So I'm working very, very hard to make sure that I'm out and communicating, and I am making connections with a variety of different groups, staff and students. In fact, tomorrow morning I've got coffee and conversation with Christine, which is the parents that have signed up, and they're coming to my office, and there's going to be about 15 of them, and we're just going to talk, and they're going to ask questions, and they're going to share their experiences that they have here at Evergreen Public Schools so I can learn more. I'm also having chat with Christine. I sent out that invitation for our staff, so it's held at different schools, and that will continue throughout the entire school year to just have an opportunity to connect with staff. And I think that's very, very important to have kind of those informal meetings set up for people to come in and drop in and share. I'm also working with students. I've got the Student Advisory Council tomorrow tomorrow afternoon and working with them, and then just my opportunities to be out in the classrooms, et cetera. So the entry plan really is about making connections, and it's also one of the other goals in the entry plan is looking at what are some of our challenges and things that are possible barriers for our students and our families that we have in our system, right? And so identifying those challenges and developing plans and actions to address those for our school community. And so that's another one too, is examining all the things that we have in place. What are we doing well, and what are areas that we can improve upon?
You have a superintendent page. People can go to our web page, and it says there's right in the front right now. It says Meet the Superintendent, and those goals are there. Some of them are very specific to this year, including one of them that involves the levy, the replacement levy that we expect to come onto the ballot in February, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. That is a huge goal of not only the board, but also myself as well. And that levy money is about 14% of our operating budget. It's incredibly important to support the great things we have here at Evergreen. And there will be more information coming out that are more specific. And I know the board is going to be discussing potential levy information and decisions at an upcoming board workshop.
Yeah, two things that we could talk about that the board's working on. One would be information about the levy rates and when it would be, and also they are in charge of the plan to select a permanent superintendent, and they'll have information out on how the community will be involved in that. So those things to look forward to. We did have another addition to our staff just last week, actually. There was an opening for a deputy superintendent when Dr. Armstrong left to take the superintendent position at Portland Public Schools. But you have hired an interim Chief Academic Officer in Dr. Brian Fox. Can you share a little bit can you tell us why you made the decision to hire that position, and then a little bit about why you chose Dr. Fox?
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually shared my thinking behind my decision to post an interim chief academic officer with staff. I sent an email out to all users so they would know and understand why I did what I did. Briefly, an overview, the reason why is because there is a deputy superintendent position that was already been in the budget, and it was that money is expected to be spent this year on a deputy superintendent. But I'm coming in, I'm the interim superintendent, right? And I did not feel it was right for me to come in as interim, even though I want to be permanent, but to place in and hire a deputy superintendent who is in a permanent position, right? The other thing too for me is I didn't see anything in our organization chart that actually spelled out academics, right? And that is what we're here for. We are here to provide quality education for our students and for our parents in our community. That's an expectation. And for me, when I look at the district's organizational chart, it's really important. It says who you are and where your values are, right? And ours didn't say academics. And so I felt that was very important to look at a chief academic role. And that was going to be interim, since I was interim as well. And as we move forward, that may become a permanent and go through a whole process again for looking for a permanent one if I'm chosen as a superintendent later. But so I wanted to focus on academics, and that's important to me. As I've said before, I've got a heart for students and a passion for education, and that is why I chose to move to interim chief academic officer. The other thing too, it's less money, so it's fiscally responsible as well.
Now you had interviews for this position, and you landed on Dr. Brian Fox, which I know you have worked with him before.
Yes.
Why did you feel he was the right person for this job?
I have worked with him before, and I was very fortunate. I've seen his leadership and the impact he's had on student achievement and his ability to bring people together towards a shared vision. And so I've been very impressed with his work from prior. He did go through the entire process. We had a couple of different interviews. There was a full application process and reference checks, etc. And he rose to the top. And so the first interview team that had quite a good representation from from staff, from classified to our teachers union and administrators, building administrators and district administrators, moved a couple of people forward, and Dr. Brian Fox was one of them. And so in the final round interviews with myself and the other chief officers, Brian definitely rose to the top. And again, I have seen his work firsthand, and I was super excited that he was the one that we ended up choosing.
And I've had a couple of meetings with him. He's hit the ground running already here in his new position. Talk about additions to leadership. You, at the last board meeting, had the honor of swearing in our new student board representatives. They're Giovanni Rosas Rojas from Gila and Nevaeh Peavy. She's from Heritage High School. Now, as a superintendent, you've done this before. You've had student reps.
Yes.
Why is this an important part of the leadership process?
Oh my goodness. Well, we're here because of students, right? And it's really important to hear from our students. And what a great opportunity for students to go through an application process, a learning opportunity as well, and growing opportunity for them, and then end up being selected to be on as a student representative on the board. They bring their perspective, which is so important because a lot of times, even though we've all gone to school, right? We all know what it's felt to be a student. We are a little removed from that, right?
It's been a while
right?
for some of us.
And so it's really important to be reminded, right? And also, we did not have the same experiences as our students are right now having in the classroom or in the school or in the community right now. And so hearing from them firsthand, their perspectives on different things that are happening that directly affect them in the classrooms, is really important to hear that voice.
Yeah, and they'll be working with the Student Advisory Committee, so they'll have other voices, and their enthusiasm at the meeting, you could just see how excited they were. And the other thing we know from just the first meeting, they're going to be straight up and honest.
Yes.
They're not going to hold back.
They are not going to be shy. And we don't want them to be shy.
Exactly.
We want them to share.
You mentioned that you have a passion for education and for students, and you also mentioned earlier that you got on a bus on the first day of school. We wanted to share that experience with everybody. You're going to see a whole lot of smiles in this video.
First day of school, welcome. We'll take good care of them.
So what's so exciting about the first day of school?
Oh, smiling faces. Parents are very happy as well for the first day of school. Well, they're going to be greeted by a smile by our bus driver, Darlene, and they are just going to feel like they are welcomed and that they're special.
Good morning. How you doing, girl?
Can I get one too? Thank you. Have a great day. You get to ride the bus. First day of school, welcome. Hello, nice to meet you. Welcome to the first day of school. You're welcome. You're waving at your mom. I just want to give a shout out to Darlene, the bus driver. She was absolutely amazing. And then I got to actually sit in an assigned seat next to her granddaughter on the bus route. So that was a lot of fun. And Darlene asked me if I could ride, if I'd be willing to ride her bus. And I jumped all over that. I said, thank you so much. So she was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. And she wanted the superintendent to ride the bus with her. So make it clear. Of course, we shared that on our social media channels, and we invite you to connect with us on social media. Here's where you can find us.
On Facebook, you'll find us at facebook.com/evergreenps. On Instagram, it's evergreen_public_schools. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/evergreen school district. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And on LinkedIn, you'll find us at linkedin.com/school/evergreenps.